Oh, no one's going to watch this. All right. Let's get it. Maybe. What is up, Jazzketballers? We are back again with Twitter and now YouTube Live. I obviously need to upgrade my camera or do something to make this setup look better because it looks awful. The story of the night was the refs. And usually you don't complain about the refs after you win a game. But I mean, there was a time like Twitter was just blowing up about the refs, complaining about the refs because it felt like not just every possession there was a call. It felt like there were 3 calls every possession. It got pretty ridiculous. And as I'm watching, I'm thinking, like, why do we keep reaching? Why do we keep grabbing? Why not just play straight up? And it really showed tonight how undisciplined our guys are. One, I think that attributes to how young they are, but also I still think they're tired. I don't think they've fully recovered. Those first 3 games were just they played so hard and so well that, yeah, I'm sure their bodies are exhausted. But in this game, let's see how many fouls there were. Oh my gosh. Houston actually had more fouls than us. They had 30, we had 28. We were both in the bonus with about 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. You could hear the crowd, even when it was an actual foul, the crowd was still just like getting upset. And I can't blame them. Even Holly Rowe commented, "This is not fun to watch." And it felt like those guys were just rookie refs, or maybe they wanted to be on TV. But I don't know. It was really weird, hard game to watch. With that many calls, it's hard to break down any player and just be super critical because nobody could get in the flow. There was no flow to that game. So, yeah, I'm going to open it up to you guys. I've got Colin here and Dallin. If you guys want to speak, go ahead and request. I found a new thing on here, a soundboard, which I've been wanting. I wish you could customize this thing, but let's try the thumbs up. Wow, that was lame. Let's try the swoosh. Maybe it sounds like a fart. It does. There's my new favorite one. Money flying away. So I'll have some fun with this soundboard. Also, if you guys are listening and you don't want to comment, or well, I don't know if you have to be a host to actually do the soundboard. Can you guys do the soundboard? Can one of you try? It's like that little magic wand at the bottom. This is how boring the game was. I'm talking about the soundboard. Oh, Kevin's requesting to speak. Here we go, Kevin. Take it away, buddy.
I don't see a magic wand. Oh, no, there it is.
It's right by the people. I want to see what it does if you guys press one of those.
Voice transformer.
Oh, shoot. Sounds like crap, though, so don't do that. Yeah, that's terrible. I'm about to mute you. Try the soundboard. Yeah, baby. So I'd like if you guys use the soundboard while I'm talking. You can either boo me or honk or whatever. We can test this out. These little ding. Everyone that's listening to the podcast is now tuned out. Is there a Rocket one? Nope. There's Explosion. The Rockets. Drum roll. Okay, let's get into the game. Obviously, it wasn't that exciting. I was hoping for a more exciting game. I kind of was hoping for a blowout. They got a 20-point lead and then just kind of relaxed and let it dwindle away. And that's where the discipline that I'm talking about shows. It's like these guys are young and undisciplined. Even when you get a lead like that, we're just coming down and just chucking threes up. It's like that's our thing. When we get a little bit of a lead, we're just too tired to continue to do the good things that got us the lead. We stop back cutting, we stop helping on defense, and we just get really lazy with our passes. So, Colin, you are requesting, and I'm going to let you speak because I don't think you've ever spoke before. So take it away, bud. Oh, now take it away.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live.
I just wanted to say that you need to be a speaker to have access to the soundboard, so none of us listeners get that. Yeah. Also, I just wanted to say the refs, man, the NBA needs to do something about it. Even towards the end of last year, it was getting so annoying. Like, every 5 seconds, it's just free throws. Just like not even playing. They're not even playing the game. It's just a free throw contest at that point. It's so frustrating, especially when you're in the bonus 6 minutes to go with the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, that's just so frustrating. Also, I want to give props to Will Hardy for actually last game and this game giving other players a shot whenever our players can't hit shots. That is something we would have never seen Quinn Snyder do last year because he refused to do anything remotely changing up the lineup. Even when our players went 0 of 15, he wouldn't change anything because I guess he just believed in the law of averages. It got so frustrating. I love that this guy is actually willing to do something when our players aren't making shots. So
even when Jordan Clarkson hasn't made a shot in 4 games, he still continues to throw him in there? Quinn would never do that. Just kidding.
So
yeah, that's all I wanted to say though.
Yeah, thanks for the comment. I think you're right. Will Hardiness's willingness to basically change the lineup and change the game plan, I think is evident and nice to see. One thought I kept having is Ochai, and I just was really excited about this guy. Like, what is going on? And so as I pondered what could possibly be going on with all of the things that we've been talking about as far as trying to trade Rudy Gay, trying to trade Mike Conley, this is totally a theory, and it could be a terrible one. But what if there's it sounds stupid saying it out loud now. What if they're so high on Ochai, like they kind of want to keep him a secret so that if a trade comes up with Mike Conley and possibly Rudy Gay and maybe even Malik Beasley, that they don't try and include him in the trade? Is that stupid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so here's my thought. And you've said this already too. What if he's Jared Butler? What if he's another 3-year college vet who won the Wooden Award or whatever award you win and just fizzles out in the NBA?
Yeah, it definitely could be that end.
Podcast, I think.
Yeah, I think it's both ways. I mean, I think I want him to be good so badly that I'm trying to make a reason for him to not be playing. But it makes sense. Like, the Jazz are notorious for getting guys like that. Trey Burke, now Jared Butler, and then possibly Ochai. Yeah, I don't think you're off with that take it all. I do too. I do too. Because man, he's got more length and he plays off of the ball. Like, if you go watch his college highlights, he doesn't need the ball like Trey Burke and Butler needed it. He has glimpses or reminiscences of Klay Thompson where he can move without the ball and then catch and shoot. He's a really good, just like off the ball catch and shoot type guy. So maybe his defense is just so terrible that he's not playing, but I don't know and then Balmero and Nickeil Alexander-Walker not playing tonight either.
It just could be, every team has the bottom 3 guys that just don't get into the rotation, and they just might be those guys. It just, that was what's his name for us last year, who I really liked that they let go. Trent Forrest.
Yeah, I like Trent Forrest. We could use him right now.
Yeah, that was the other point I wanted to make. Like, what's blatantly clear to me after this game? If we trade Mike Conley, we will have the number 1 pick in the draft, or at least the worst round.
Yeah,
because there ain't a single player on this team who can run the offense.
Yeah, I still want to see Sexton get a chance. He got hurt tonight. Hopefully he's not out for 3 weeks. It's like a hip contusion or something like that. I didn't see what happened, but the other thought that I have too, as you're mentioning, like these college players getting these awards and then not being able to make it in the NBA, like, is college basketball just dying? Because the last Jalen Green, he was, what was he, the first, or what draft pick was Jalen Green? You guys remember? He was top 5 for sure.
Jalen Green, I think, was like 3 or 4.
Okay, so he's a great player that came from the G League. Then you've got Scoot Henderson, that's supposed to be the second best player coming out of the G League. And then Wemby's playing international ball. Like, I think that it's the trend is catching up where players are just kind of skipping college and going to play for teams where they can actually make a little bit of money and then go into the NBA. Until the NBA changes the rule back where you can draft a player at 18, I just think, well, college basketball kind of seems like it's fizzling out. Obviously, March Madness, I think, will always keep it alive. And that unknown of that tournament, in my mind, is one of the best, if not the best, tournaments in the world for sports. But as far as NBA talent coming from college, like, is it becoming a dying thing?
I think so.
So what does the NBA do to change that, or do you just not draft from college players anymore?
I don't know what they can do or why they would even. I don't think they want to do anything. They want a piece of the money pie with these G leagues. Like,
yeah,
I think they're perfectly content continuing to do what they're doing now. Like, they almost want a second league that they can just develop their people through.
So if you think about it, Ochai was a 4-year player. So I'm not sure on his age, but he's got to be older than Horton-Tucker, Kessler. Who's the other young guy on here? Not Vanderbilt. So yeah, he's got to be older than Kessler and Horton-Tucker. So maybe that's the strategy too, is he's just so much older. Like, why try and develop a guy that's 24, 25 if he is that old?
I don't know. It's tough. I'm not ready to write him off yet.
So there's been other talks around the NBA because teams are tanking, that the NBA moves to like a relegation systems where if you're the top 10 in the G League, you move up, or the bottom 10 in the NBA, then you move down. I don't think it'll ever happen, but do you think that would be entertaining to watch, or make the league more intriguing?
Not in the least bit. Nope.
Okay, so the next thing that they're talking about is the bottom 10 teams have the same amount of lottery balls.
I think, personally, I think not 10 teams, but I think if you did like 7 teams or 6 teams all have the same shot at the number 1 pick, I think that could work, but I don't think 10 teams. I don't think that 10th worst team should have the same odds as the very worst team, personally.
I think that instead of doing something like that, they need to incentivize teams to play well. So if you make, if you make it into the playoffs, you get salary cap relief. Like incentivize people to spend money and be good instead of de-incentivizing people to play bad.
Yeah, that'd be great because then the Lakers, they could lose all their salary cap. Not like they would care, though.
I mean, it's tough because you don't want – it would have to be some sort of system that was controlled because you don't want the same 8 teams making the playoffs every year and just building their roster through free agency because they have extra money. Like, it would have to be some sort of a cap. But, I just think there needs to be some sort of incentive to play well. Like, because right now you have an incentive to be bad. Because you can get a generational player or you can get a really good player. But what if making the playoffs gave you bargaining power for a free agent? Like, you were able to give them an extra year on their contract, or, you were able to match a deal with a different perspective. So, like, what is the incentive? So, like, by making the playoffs, I have a better chance of signing Kevin Durant, or I have a better chance of signing, a strong free agent. Like,
and
small market teams would be incentivized to, because right now, if you're a small market, you grow through the draft. Like, there's no other way to grow.
Yeah. And Adam Silver's talked about the in-season tournament. I mean, is that a way to implement the stuff that you're talking about, Kevin?
I mean, it could be. I'll be honest, I'm literally just speaking off the top of my head right now. This is just an idea that came to me. I haven't really put much thought to it, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, I read a lot of management books.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff like that. And everything I've read talks about how when you want something to work, it's better to incentivize than it is to decentivize.
Sure.
And I was watching a couple YouTube videos where they talked about, like, there's so much incentive to tank this year. Like, you're going to have 14 to 16 teams tanking. Like Victor and Scooter that good, plus the other 3 through 8 are as good or better than last year's draft. So, like, you could get the 8th overall pick and get a player who's better than Chet Holmgren.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's so much incentive to tank. What would it be like if you had, if you had an ability? I don't know. Help me out here, guys. Like,
yeah, no, I totally agree with the salary cap, or being able to somehow get rights to a free agent more. I don't know. That I think they're going to do something in the future, just because it doesn't make sense to incentivize teams to lose. It's kind of ruining the league, in my opinion. But then you have the purists where it's like, yeah, but what about these past years, the 82 games, and then if you change, like, even just with the play-in game, it totally changes the dynamic, because it's now instead of the 8 seed having to play 7 games with a number 1 seed, they play 1 game and then they're in.
Yeah, it's the same thing that they do in baseball. It's why they did away with the play-in game in baseball, because all the guys were complaining, like, hey, I'm losing my number 1 starter to just make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I already come into the next series at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And it's why they did away with it this year.
Wait, are you arguing for or against playing?
I mean, I think it's
like it. I think they do away with it.
Yeah, I think it's entertaining for fans, but it's also just kind of like another way for the NBA to make more money when they already have money.
That's kind of funny, because it's my opinion that the play-in actually helps with tanking. It gives 2 more teams with an outside shot a reason to actually try and make the playoffs. I think it.
Yeah.
First step towards avoiding more tanking than there already was.
Then just make it like every single team at the end of the season just plays like the March Madness, plays one game and you move on, and then that avoids tanking altogether.
My thought process is
That'd be crazy, that'd be crazy.
I feel like we could keep the play-in for the next 25 years, and you're never going to get one of those guys to win a championship.
No, yeah, there's no way.
Talking about one-off games, did the NBA ever need to move away from 5-game series? I don't money-wise.
Yeah, they just want more money if there's more games.
Same reason the NFL added an extra game to the season.
I mean, it's the same reason the Jazz change their jersey every year, is so they can sell more jerseys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think my issue with I enjoy more NBA. Like, I like more NBA, so 7 games is fun to me.
Yeah, me too.
My argument for a 5-game series would we'd see more upsets. We rarely ever see upsets in the NBA now. It's always just usually, I feel like either it's evenly matched up and then a team skips it out, or you never see like a complete underdog win. You rarely see an 8th seed beat a 1 seed.
Yeah, and so
that kind of stuff never happens.
I think the real answer is everyone has a cap and you can't go over it. It doesn't matter if you're willing to spend more money, you just cap it. And everyone has the same amount of money to spend on players. That's what I think.
They'll never approve that.
I know they won't, but that's what the answer is.
The luxury is how these small market teams stay relevant. Like the Lakers and Brooklyn and all these teams playing the luxury are paying the luxury tax, are paying for these small market teams to have teams.
Yeah, but there's so much money in the NBA. I think it's working backwards. It's like, yeah, you're paying the luxury tax to pay these other teams, but I just don't think it's working. That's why we've seen, like Colin was saying, such lopsided, and almost every year you just know who's going to win.
I would love to see him go to a 1 through 16 seeding and stop doing West East seeding.
Yeah, that would.
Just do a 1
yes, I would love that. I would
love it too. I think that would be hard. As far as playoffs, like let's say Boston and LA had to fly back and forth. I mean, I guess you could say that's a disadvantage, but if I guess if your seed matches up with that, it's just that's how the cookie crumbles.
I mean, so reduce the season to 78 games.
Yeah.
And space out the playoffs.
Yeah. Let's call Adam Silver right now.
The NBA also gives you, for half those games, like give you 2 days in between anyways. I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. In the MLB, they have back-to-backs in the playoffs in 2 different cities across. Yeah,
but baseball's such a different sport. Most of the time, those guys are sitting on their ass.
That is true, but I'm still saying
but you work a lot harder than you think you have to.
No, I know, but I'm saying baseball, like you can't compare baseball and running up and down the court.
I'm comparing the travel aspect of it. Like if they do it, they just, I don't know. To me, it's not that big of a deal. Especially if you still give them 1 day in between. Like the NBA will have randomly they'll have 2 days in between. In a game that's in the same city, it's like, what are you doing? I don't really know. In the playoffs, it's all about money, so it's whatever they want to do. Drag it out as long as they can. I mean, the playoffs take so long anyways.
And if you get smarter with the scheduling of the daytime versus the evening time games, like there's ways to work in rest, like if you really wanted it to. But it's that decision's made by who's going to bring the biggest pull of money.
You know what I love right now is that this game was so boring. We're not talking anything about the game. We're talking about how to make the NBA better.
I don't think we learned anything from the game.
Yeah.
I kind of disagree. I think we didn't learn anything, but I think the NBA learned
to swallow the whistle.
No, that if you guard the Jazz in the lane, they struggle. Like if you get athletic and you guard him in the lane, like if Houston could shoot the ball worth a shit, like we would have lost that game. Like,
Yeah,
they
that
missed their last-
their shot select. I mean, ours was bad, but theirs was 20 times worse on their
they
shot
couldn't make
selection.
layups. They were
Yeah,
missing dunks.
it was
Like, if they could shoot the ball at all, we'd have lost by double digits.
well,
Like,
and the Houston Rockets guy that we had on before the game, I was trying to be as nice, but like, I like I'm glad we're not them. I literally am so glad we're not the Houston Rockets because that's an uphill climb for a while, in my opinion.
Are you guys of the opinion that we should be tanking right now, or we should be going for it? I'm just curious.
I think we should tank for the next 3 seasons, in my opinion.
I almost don't even care at this point because it's like even if you tank, it could go wrong with your draft pick, and if we can win, why not win? But it's like I don't know that we're that good that we're even going to be able to get into the playoffs. Like I think the first 3 games we came out on fire. Then we met Rudy and we were super focused and had energy. But these guys look so young and not in shape right now that it's going to be a long season.
I also think that the first 3 games most of those teams are going into each game with a game plan. This Jazz team, no team had a game plan for us. How would you have a game plan for that team? So I think we just caught a few teams off guard early, especially in that Pelicans game. We caught them off guard early. Then they adjusted, and then they went on 22-something run. And then, we beat them in overtime. You kind of just make a few shots there, and then it goes up other way. You miss a few shots. I don't think the team is as good as it looked those first 3 games. I think that was just kind of, I don't know, a lot of young energy coming out.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that at least this season we shouldn't be winning that many. I kind of want to say quietly because people get mad at me, but I don't.
Well, and then you're gonna run into other teams that are trying to tank too, so you're inevitably gonna win those games. Our next 3 games are at Denver, and then who makes the schedule? 2 at home versus Memphis. Why do you have?
Well, this year they're trying to create less travel days, so that was actually on purpose this year. I don't know. I saw an article about that. They're doing more.
Literally Memphis on Saturday and then Memphis again on Monday. But anyways, out of those 3 games, I mean, how many do we win out of those 3? Do we beat Denver again at Denver?
No, I think we lose both to Denver. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Do we lose so do we win 1 against Memphis? I think they're
maybe 1 against Memphis. I think Memphis is a really good team.
Yeah. So the next.
John Morant's going to put 40 on us each night.
Yep, and then Dylan Brooks is coming back, so we got to deal with him too.
Yeah, so the next 3 we could easily go 0-3, and then you've got at Dallas after that, so you could go 0-4.
Luke is going to drop 50 on us.
Yeah,
so that's probably nice.
Here's my thing about the tanking. I'm okay with being good, but I can't do another 4 seasons of a first round exit.
Yeah,
that's my thing.
Like if I gotta watch some bad basketball for the next 2 years, so that we can go to the conference finals 1, maybe 2 years out of the 5 after that, I'll put up with that. But I just can't do 3, 4 more years of first and second round exits.
Okay, but could you do this year with this group a first round exit?
No, I couldn't.
No, because we gain nothing from it.
Value. No, I 100% agree with you. I saw a whole bunch of tweets because I even commented a few times about how I didn't really want to win this year. People were like, you really want to sacrifice the winning culture? I was like, okay, first of all, I don't really give a fuck about a winning culture if it means winning a championship. Winning culture means nothing if you're going out every year in the first round. You think the Bucks were the laughingstock of the NBA for a few years, but they sacrificed it and they won a championship. Do you think any of those fans give a fuck about those years that they were terrible? No, they care about that championship they won, 2 years ago, right? Like, you got to be bad to be good, especially in a small market. You're just not going to be – other than that, we're just going to be mediocre every year, just for some hand quotation marks, a winning culture. I don't care about it. I want to be good. I want to win a championship.
Ryan Smith did not build this team to be mediocre. He didn't. Like, he built this team to bring a championship. And that's why he brought in Danny Ainge, because he knew the people in there weren't getting the job done.
I also don't think Danny Ainge is going to let this team be mediocre for years to come. I think he'll do something. I think either when it comes to trade, if we're really good, I think he actually might I don't think some people are saying he'll let it ride. I don't think he will. I think
he's like he's not at the age where he's gonna just let it ride. I mean, he's been in Boston. That's not Danny Ainge's style.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, it sucks. I don't want to watch horrible ball. Like, I don't want to watch a game like this all season long.
No, I had the same thought. If we have to watch this every night, I'm gonna have to change this from a gamely podcast to a weekly podcast because it's gonna be really draining.
But all I want is just to be competitive and see the guys play hard every night.
Yeah.
I think that's what was so tough tonight is I didn't feel like they were bringing the energy like they have in games past. Like it almost felt like they were mailing it in. It was weird.
Well, yeah, and Coach Hardy, you could see him like, let's go on this. I mean, multiple times, like trying to get him to go, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think they're mailing in. I literally don't think they're in shape and ready for what a full NBA schedule is like. Like, how many of these guys have actually been the guy on their team?
Well, and they were talking about this on ESPN today. They were talking about how they believe Markkanen is having so much success because he's in game shape from Euroball. Yeah,
I think so. And even Fontecchio looks like he's in game shape too, in my opinion. He doesn't stop moving. But me and my grandpa always talk about like needing purebreds or thoroughbreds. And those are just guys that you feel like never get tired. Donovan Mitchell, I think, was a purebred and thoroughbred and could just go. I think those guys also have maybe a screw loose as far as being so competitive that they don't let themselves get to that point. But I think marketing could probably get there. I think this is a great spot for Markkanen to develop. He's had some crazy first years in the league with different coaches and swapping teams. He had 24 points tonight. And I wanted to touch on THT a little bit because he is so hot and cold. And then he had like a huge throwdown. And he's 21. He's the same age as Walker Kessler. So how patient do we need to be with him? Or is he ever going to get there?
I'm not a fan of THT, I'm be honest with you. I think it's cool and he plays well, but I don't know. Even when I saw with the Lakers, there'd be games where he would just try to – it kind of Jordan Clarkson to an extent. He would just try to – every drive, he'd go out the rim and then he'd mess it up. Or he'd just ruin games. I saw it a lot last year when he was with the Lakers. And the first 2 games this year, when he was going in, he did not look good at all. Preseason, I don't think he looked good at all. I mean, I'm not that much of a fan, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's I think the part that is intriguing or makes me wonder if we should hang on to him is, like Kevin said, we don't have a backup point guard. But behind Conley, he might be the next best. This is hard to say because he makes some terrible decisions. I mean, it's some turnovers that are just bad. And then he almost like showboats trying to take over.
I'm surprised he's even considered a point guard because I never see him look for a pass ever.
Yeah.
Remind me again why we cut Lee and Butler both.
Dude, Saban Lee. I wish we would have kept Saban Lee, but it's because they're just cutting the players that had the lowest contracts. If you go back and look at it, every single player that got cut, it was so they didn't have to spend as much money on the cuts. That's why.
I get it, but man, I tell you what, like
I wish we would have signed Trent Forrest. What was Trent Forrest? He was like pennies, man. What did Atlanta end up signing him for?
Garbage money.
Yeah, he would have been perfect. I know his shot wasn't the greatest, but we need someone to be able to run the team. And he would have been a young guy that would have been perfect. He played good defense. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe we can make a campaign for him.
So here's an interesting thought, and kind of back to your pregame show, and I'm totally derailing this conversation. Just deal with it. So you said earlier today about how, what if Victor isn't as good as we think he's going to be. I read an interesting tweet, and I wish I would have saved it because I can't find it. someone, a Jazz fan, talked about how he thinks that if we don't get Victor, so say like we get the number 2 spot, and Victor goes 1, we trade out of 2 because Danny Ainge won't draft Scoot because he doesn't fit Danny's profile.
Oh, I would draft Scoot in a heart.
Yeah, I think 1 and 2 are automatic drafts. I think once you get to 3, then you kind of think about it.
Where are you reading this?
So I need to find it. If I find it, I'll tag you in it. I can't find this tweet. But he talked about when you look at the people Danny Ainge drafted in Boston, long, athletic, with good size for their position. And
which I think you can see it right now on what he did the trades for. You got Markkanen, you got Vanderbilt, Olynyk, who's the other? Kessler.
Scoot is going to be like, what's his name in Memphis? He's an undersized guard.
Oh, dude, watching Scoot play, he's good. He is freaking good.
I'm not saying we should pass on it.
He's very good.
But, and it led into, and this is what I was kind of talking earlier, because I forgot about this. Danny Ainge traded down to get Jason Tatum and picked up picks to pick up Brown, too.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Ainge could definitely have a different player in mind that could be better than Scoot in the long run. I've almost hoped that we get the second so that we don't have the pressure of automatically having to pick Wemby and then him being a bust, because it's a lot easier to remember a first-round pick bust than it is Scoot. And I just think Scoot is probably he's different than Wemby, but he could be just as good. Like he's freaking amazing.
I was trying to think who went before Jason Tatum, because it was like what, the 2018 or the 2017 draft?
Bro, I can't remember. I used to be on top of this, but yeah, I gotta Google it all. What I'm gonna do? Yeah, yeah. No wonder he freaking traded up.
So everyone.
Good decision, Danny.
Markelle Fultz and Lonzo Ball.
Oh,
he didn't want Lonzo Ball because Lonzo, he was afraid that they wouldn't be able to sign him because his dad wanted him in LA.
Yeah, but is Scoot even comparable to
That draft class was actually bad, considering the fact that Lonzo went number 2. That was just, I think it wasn't even that high on Lonzo.
Yeah, like
Scoot is way higher up there.
Scoot's going to be 20 times a player any of those ball bowlers are.
6 or 7 in this draft.
He would probably go in second round.
Yeah, like way.
No, but what I'm going to start doing, because I know this draft is deep and I've seen a few different highlights, I'm really going to start like digging into these players and the rankings and looking at highlights, because I think it would help Jazz fans as far as like, you know, not getting the number 1 or 2 pick, be like, okay, there's other good players. Obviously you get good picks up to 10 is what the guy said earlier today. But I think there's so many good draft picks that the Jazz have had later in the first round that we need to realize, 1, we've got Danny Ainge, and 2, we don't have to get a 1 or 2 pick. Like, it's not going to be a total failure if we do. Like I said earlier, you got the Thompson brothers, which are tall and long, and Danny might be eyeing one of those guys, and he might be perfectly fine with like a 3, 4, or 5 pick.
Yeah, I did some research. They didn't get Brown with the other pick. It was a guy who ended up fizzling out in the NBA.
Did they trade for Brown?
No, I have to look it up. They ended up selecting Romeo Langford with the other pick that they got in that trade.
So where did Jaylen Brown come from then?
I drafted Jaylen Brown.
Yeah,
I'm almost sure of it, but I
thought they had to trade into him. I'm still.
Yeah, they might have traded to get him, but I know they drafted him. Either way, Danny Ainge made it happen.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm my biggest thing is the lower our record is, the better draft pick we're gonna get, and the better our draft pick, the more capital and the more Danny can do what Danny does best.
Yeah.
Because like if we have the worst record in the league, we are guaranteed the 4th overall pick. We can't go higher than that.
Right.
Like we can fall out of the top 3. We could whiff on the top 3, but the worst case scenario is we get the 4th overall pick.
I'm fine with 1 through 6, honestly.
And we move the 4th pick to pick something else up. Like that's the thing is like the better pick we get, the more Danny can do what Danny does best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you guys see this tweet I sent to the thing?
The picture of Will Hardy and no, that's
Mike. You see Danny Ainge in the background?
Yeah.
That's not the guy that wants to.
He's like, what is going on, Will?
Look at his face.
Well, I've had fun with you guys. I'm extremely tired. We'll do this again Friday.
No clue.
Go ahead.
We should have a non-game podcast where we just sit and talk about the future of the Jazz and not get sidetracked with the game, like with just some more like schedule or laid out. Like I would love to just sit and chat with you guys, like kind of like a cooler room conversation about what the future of the Jazz is going to be, why we should do this. Like this is what I enjoy because no one in my work even understands what the Jazz do.
Yeah, like, what I would like to do, because I've got 4 professional mics, make it sound really good if we're going to do that and all get together and like eat some food and do something fun. So I'm down with that. But
I do not live in Utah.
Oh, bro, where do you live?
South Carolina.
Whoa, what?
I'm across the whole country.
What? Why are you in South Carolina?
Being up so late for this?
Yeah,
it's midnight. It's 12:17.
I was like, I'm tired and got to go to work, but yeah, you're 2 hours ahead.
Yep.
But did you used to live in Utah and then move to South Carolina, or what?
My dad's from Utah. I'm from Dallas, actually.
And you just were born into being a Jazz fan?
Yep, sadly I was born into it. My dad's Utah born and raised, so
we're glad to have you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm Dallas born and raised. I could have been a Luka fan, but no, I'm stuck here.
Almost as crazy as me. I'm born and raised in Illinois during the Jordan era.
Oh man!
And I'm a Jazz fan.
Yeah.
Are you still in Illinois, or are you in Utah now?
No, I'm in Utah now. I moved there later, but like I would come to school with John Stockton and Karl Malone jerseys.
In Illinois?
In Illinois.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you get picked on?
Absolutely. Well, and until the gloves came off, and then they left me alone.
Yeah.
But like, I just love John Stockton. Like, I wanted to be him when I grew up. Like, that was who I wanted to be. I mean, he was just such a good team player, and I loved how he picked everybody's pocket. And I just wanted to be him. And he was, a little white guy who was playing in the NBA. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. So
that's why I named my son Stockton, bro.
I know.
All right. Well, I got to go to bed. Thanks for jumping on. We'll do another pregame. I really like getting the opposing teams, like a different podcast. Those are fun conversations. So
because I can't meet up with you guys in real life doesn't mean I wouldn't want to be on a hypothetical podcast, maybe via.
Yeah, we'll somehow get you in virtually.
That'd be super fun. I love chatting with you guys.
So
have a good night, everyone.
All right. We'll see you guys.